Hi everyone, it's your girl once again, Janet, and if you're new here, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you hit the notification button. On today's topic, we're going to talk about how to deal with loneliness. And in this case, it's not all about you. Your friends could help and professional could help, and mtu yote anaweza kukusaidia how to deal with loneliness. And for starters is you should engage yourself more and make sure that you're doing a lot of things, like mainly things that would distract you. You could look for either new hobbies or the previous ones that you used to have, and you could also find groups and mostly encouraging groups zenye zinaongelea mostly about whatever you've gone through, and you engage yourself with those kind of people, and it's going to make it easier for you to at least be able to know how to deal with your grief. Another thing is, some would prefer watching movies, but in most cases I'd prefer you go outside, because I see that watching movies is another way of confine. It's like unajifungia, you don't want to interact with people. I tried that and it wasn't helping much. So it's good to at least find people, you keep in touch with your friends. You could go for places like outings with your friends, and for your friends to help you, it's good to at least you remember their special occasions like birthdays, Valentine's, anniversaries. With that, if your friends come along with you in most of the times that you're supposed to be celebrating maybe your birthday, it usually helps a lot. Inafanya hiyo loneliness you are able to deal with that loneliness. And kama ni your friends, they could buy you gifts, bring you things like cards and flowers and everything. You'll find yourself, you're now moving from one step to another. You're not dwelling mostly on the past, and by that it helps you fight that loneliness in a better way. Other things you could do, you could even talk to your spiritual parents if you usually go to church, or if you have any. You could talk to them, and with that and reading the word, it helps a lot. Although at some point you don't feel like praying or reading even the Bible, but if you talk to a spiritual person, maybe they'll quote a verse or something on your behalf. You won't be the one reading or praying, but they could say a prayer to you, and it's going to help you ease that pain. So in most cases, I'd prefer, the best way to fight that is engaging yourself more with people. Like usijifungie kwa nyumba sana. Like yeah, you might need that car time alone, but in most cases at least find friends and people that you could talk to. You could even make new friends. At times unaingia tu kwa Facebook, you read some memes and itakusaidia. It's not, most people will think that it's not the right time to be watching that, but it usually helps, because you can't be alone for that long. Like huwezi jipea time kubwa ya kukua alone, because the more you are alone, the more you isolate yourself from people and things, you get to find that unaanza kuwa na depression kidogo bila hata wewe kujua. And so to friends, I would advise you visit your friends that are grieving. Unampelekea matunda, fruits, maybe some of the things that they would want to take, then ni zile vitu like junks and fruits, because most of the time unaskianga you don't want to eat anything. So it's going to be best if your friends came along with some fruits and some salads, some drinks, some fruit juice. They really help at that moment. Oh, and another thing that I'd like to talk about is, mostly it usually happens with like watu wenye wana find out. Maybe sometimes unapata when you lost your spouse, not everyone learned about that loss. So unapata new people will come and they'll start asking you questions, and like, what really happened? Atikai, I didn't know what happened, when did that happen? If you're willing and if you're okay to talk about it, it's also good to share about your spouse with someone. at some point I used to share about my spouse in so many occasions that I would talk about him maybe from morning till evening. Napata, I'm repeating over and over about him. So at some point it's kind of a good thing to some people, because if you're able to talk about him, it's advisable that you talk about him, because you letting it out, it's a way that you're going to heal. In that process you're talking about it, so it's always good to talk about it. That is if you are able to. And it also depends with the time you've lost your spouse. Like from the first few periods you could not talk about it, and then after some period you are able to talk about it. And in some occasions you'll find that some people immediately they lose their spouses, they like over talk. Maybe they'll talk over and over, and then at a certain period they'll just stop talking about it. So it depends with different people grieve different ways. And unapatanga, like if your husband's death or if your wife's death was a sudden death, you are going to also grieve different with someone who, for instance, maybe someone they've been battling with cancer or any chronic disease for a period of time, and it gives you psychologically, it gives you that you're able to like prepare, like psychologically you're prepared. So by the time you lose that spouse that maybe they are undergoing through a treatment, it's a bit easier. And like for someone who just lost their spouse through an accident or a sudden death, so you find that those people that they've lost their spouses in a sudden way, they take a longer period to process that loss, because for them they were not prepared for that. And they are most of the time they are in denial because they can't accept that they've just lost their spouse. Maybe in a car accident, you left in the morning with your spouse, they were fine, and kila mtu akaenda shughuli zake, and maybe in the course of the day you get a call and you're told that your spouse is normal. So in most cases you find that the circumstances that led to your spouse's demise will also depend with how you're going to grieve. So it also depends with the circumstance, and also it depends with the relationship. There are some people that maybe they never used to spend most of the time together. Maybe one of them was working somewhere far, and it was the time that they spent was limited. So now you'll find that you wish that they were there. There are things you want to tell them, and you feel like now you're in so much anger and bitterness, and it's like you really want to tell them some of the things that you'd have wanted to tell them, and you feel like the time that you had was so limited, you didn't get that time to share some of the things that you'd have wanted. So I was advised, in my time I was advised that if there are things that you feel like you want to let them out and you don't want to have told your spouse, you could maybe get a notepad or a notebook and you write them down exactly what you'd have wanted to tell them. Or if you can scream out loud, you could go somewhere and assume you're talking to someone, you just talk to them, just say whatever you want to tell them. With that, it's going to help you, because whatever you have been carrying along, you're grieving and you have other things that you have wanted to share with your spouse, or you think that you wanted to tell him or her, it's good to like you find somewhere a quiet place, you just scream, you share with them what you wanted to share with them. In conclusion, different people grieve differently and take different times to get over their pain, but mostly we don't actually get over our pain. The only thing that happens is we learn how to live with our scars. So never tell anyone that time will heal, because time never heals, only God heals. Till next time, I love you all. Goodbye.